If someone reached across the table during a first date and
to
was
hold
like,
your hand.
yeah, I would be like you know?
So, oh my gosh, wait, are you reaching for something over here? Let me, oh, you want my napkin? Yeah, sure. Right. I got a podcast! I to the, no. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of I'm Literally Screaming. Everybody in the stands are taking off their clothes. Please put them back on. We don't want to see that, or maybe we do. Hello, everyone. We're back with another episode, and I'm here with the one, the only Alyson Stoner.
That felt like the only entrance.
Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, like, it's just like, I don't know how I started with that intro, but it just kind of like happened on its own.
That was spontaneous?
Yeah, like
Not
one
scripted.
day I was just like, wow, everyone's taking off their clothes because they're so aroused by us.
Okay.
And it's like, we don't want to see that, but maybe we do.
That oddly reminds me of dreams when like suddenly you don't realize that your clothes fell off and now you're in front of people.
Or like when you're
a
in
la
the
Kirsten
bathroom.
Dunst.
Have you ever
Bring It
had
On. That's too old of a reference for you, I think.
Wait, what reference?
Do you know Bring It On?
Yes.
Okay.
Bring It On? Wait, that's a cheer one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, I haven't, like I've heard and seen clips of it.
Yeah. Go Toros.
Oh yeah, wait, no, never mind. And then it's like the beginning is like, I'm sexy, I'm cute, I'm popular to beaut, I'm bitchin', great
Brown
hair.
hair. Oh, whoops.
No, it's okay. I don't
Do you
know.
say gray hair?
Great hair.
Okay.
Like I'm bitchin' great hair. The boys all love to stare.
That's true.
But before we got into Bring It On, we were talking about books.
We were talking books.
So you are more into like nonfiction?
Yes. So I was sharing with you that if it's a work of fiction, I would much rather someone give me the plot line, like help me understand how it resolves, and then I want to go back and psychoanalyze what was happening through like a nonfiction lens.
See, my mom is similar, but like she will literally do that with the fiction books. Like she goes to the end, if that makes any sense, and she reads the last chapter before anything happens.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I can't like read the last chapter.
It ruins it for you?
Yeah, but my mom is like, I need to know the last chapter so I can see where everything is going and I can like analyze better. And me, I'm just like, I need to like go for the ride.
I want to hang out with your mom because I like to understand the themes.
Yeah.
And if I don't understand the themes, like my critical thinking and reasoning is not very great when it comes to reading literature. I remember in school, like any time that you had to analyze a paragraph and explain what it was about, I was lost.
Really?
I would pick out like the details I thought were important and the teacher would be like, I don't know
really
why
off.
You thought that was.
That's what, when I was going into my junior year of high school, I had this summer assignment where it was Robert Frost and it was the two roads diverge into one.
Yeah.
And I did this entire analysis on it thinking like, wow, my brain is so advanced and this is so good and my teacher's going to eat this up. And I got a D+.
What?
Yeah, he was like, so I don't know where you were going with this, but
because you related it to like split ends in your hair and not
like, no, I just like went in on something. I forget what I wrote about, but it was just like, because the assignment was to find it was like a theme or find like hidden messages in the poem. And I actually was like finding hidden messages like through different words that were used.
You found your own pattern.
Yeah. And my teacher was like, so that's actually not what I meant at all, Spence.
Right.
So we can't do that.
Perhaps, though, you were activating a different part of your brain responsible for like spacious, creative thinking and your imagination.
And he just didn't get it.
Yeah, he didn't understand that you are an artist.
Right. And see, this is what I'm talking about. See, I feel like my paper should have been published.
Wow.
Ooh,
I support
that. Was a loud bang. I'm sorry about that. If you had to recommend like one nonfiction book for me, what would it be?
Okay. Well, it depends on if you want to learn about 4E cognition or not.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll read anything.
I would say The Embodied Mind. Because it is an examination of consciousness through the lens of what it means to experience consciousness at an embodied level. So not just like this idea that cognition happens upstairs and we can chat later about it.
That's really interesting.
But the beautiful takeaway from that is it helps you explore your own mind-body connection in a new way. So that instead of thinking like, oh, my thoughts are running wild and my body is freaking out in this way, you start to understand like a more holistic approach.
That kind of reminds me, and correct me if I'm wrong, have you ever read The Four Agreements?
Yes, I have.
That kind of like, it kind of the like same, not genre, but like it kind of sounds similar in the sense of like how you can think about things or like reframe things. Am I wrong?
It could have some overlapping themes. Reframing reminds me more of like cognitive behavioral therapy. There are a lot of different theoretical frameworks we could use, but I don't know if that's what you want to talk about today.
I want to recommend a book for you.
Yes, please.
Have you ever, well, no, because it's fiction.
Probably not.
It's called, well, there are two. One is called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Okay.
That's really good. And it's about essentially this girl, and she's from, I think it's like the 1600s.
Okay.
And she prays to this, I guess, false god.
Okay.
Because she doesn't want to get married. She wants to live a life of like freedom. And she
Support
asks
that.
this like, I don't want to say a demon, but it's like a dark entity. Like, I want to be free. Like, I don't want to be married. Like, I just want freedom.
Okay.
And he gives her that, but with a twist because she wasn't specific enough.
Okay.
So she now goes about her everyday life and she's free. She lives forever.
Okay.
But the problem is whenever she meets someone, they forget her. So it's like if I were to talk to you right now and then leave the room and come back in, you'd be like, oh my gosh, hi, nice to meet you. What's your name? Until she meets someone who remembers
breaks the
her.
spell?
Yeah, he remembers her. She goes into a bookstore and tries to take a book. And while she's leaving, she's like, oh, he won't even remember because I'm leaving and I'm walking out. And he chases after her and he says, I saw you steal the book. And she's like, you remember me?
So that's the end of the book, or that's the start?
That's the start.
Okay,
I can't
great.
give you the end. And then
Okay.
there's The Midnight Library.
Okay.
And that book is about a girl whose like life is pretty much falling apart. So she tries to overdose. But while she's dying, she gets transported into this library, and it's a place between life and death.
Purgatory.
All the books in the library are lives she could have lived. So when she opens a book, it transports her into that life. And if she stays in that life long enough, then she's permanently there.
Whoa. So many decisions to make.
See, this is why I like fiction, because it's like there's no way in hell this is real, but like I would love it to be.
Well, yeah, and it maybe gives you like a canvas where you can sort of play with different ideas, but know that there's no permanent consequence.
Right. How was your weekend, or how's your week been?
Oh, that's a great segue. I was just thinking about the weekend after talking about the books.
Really?
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
But weekend, week. What day of the week is it? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
We'll start with today.
Okay.
So I drove for 3 hours right before this because I
From
live
where?
in the desert.
Oh.
So that was fun. Traffic.
3 hours?
Yeah. But I'm going to be moving back into LA because I'm about to start another animated show.
Oh, really?
And so I'm going to be like recording sessions, and it would be hard to make that commute
Yeah,
every day.
for 3 hours. And the traffic here.
Yeah, absurd.
How long have you lived here?
I have been in and out of LA for, oh my gosh, 23 years.
Wait, so are you originally not from California?
Nope.
Where are you
No.
originally from?
Toledo, Ohio.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes. Have you seen Flatland?
You know.
Then, okay. No, I mean like you've never seen land that's flat. You've
I'm from
only
New
seen
Jersey.
Okay. You've seen buildings.
I've seen buildings, and I
buildings.
lived in a valley actually.
Okay.
So when I lived in a part of New Jersey that was in, I guess, like city area, I was farther north near New York State where there are like farms,
Okay.
and mills and all of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I only knew like mountains my entire life.
Wow. Okay. Well, if you ever want to see Flatland, Toledo has got your back.
What is it like living? Well, what was it like growing up and like going back and forth? Because you said you started going back and forth like 23 years ago, you said?
Yes. So once I moved to LA around 6 or 7 years old, I was mostly here. When I would leave, it was to film on location. So it wasn't back to Ohio. It was like Canada for Camp Rock 12 and like New York for Step Up 16. And Toledo is lovely. I mean, it's like simple in terms of when I drive down an LA Boulevard, it's like, you know, you're bombarded with these exquisite artistic works and the lights and everything, and everyone's dressed to the nines. And in Toledo, it's like the building is here to function for like whatever purpose. It doesn't need to be anything super well designed. Yeah, it's simple.
It's like a nice, simple way of living.
Yeah, like white t-shirt, jeans.
Yeah, and I feel like here everything is very like how do I put this? When I was growing up in New Jersey, not once did I ever think like, oh, like someone might be watching me right now. Whereas like here, people dress like they're being watched.
Billboards.
Yep.
You dress like you're a billboard.
Right. That's literally it.
Yeah.
And speaking of you like going on site, how was school? Because I've always been curious because I always wondered what it must have been like going to school and also working at the same time at such a young age.
Yeah, my schooling is questionable.
But you sound really smart. Like speaking to you, I'm like, wow.
This is all scripted. You think you're speaking off the cuff. I got a script before this.
Oh my God. Wait, so like basically we're in a simulation.
Exactly.
And
remember the Midnight Library? This is one of the possible outcomes of your life.
Choose
wisely.
Wait, what are they called? Like a PNC? What are they called? Those
You mean near-death experiences?
NPC.
And
an NPC. I'm like, am I an NPC?
And what is that?
They're like a non-person
non-playable character.
Yeah, it's like you are being played by a person and you're fully cognitive and like aware, and I'm just here like rolling things off what I think are my thoughts, but they're not.
Wow. Yeah. How much are you questioning yourself right now?
I was questioning a lot, but then I was like, I'm a bad bitch and there's no way someone is not controlling this. So it's like, I'm definitely in control. You said reclaim, work.
Reclaim.
So
school.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
So school was really bizarre because I switched schools all the time, and I would go from like private to public to charter to being on set.
Private school.
It's interesting, yeah? But because I switched schools, there are certain subjects that I like never took and classes I never took.
Really?
Because the curriculum, whether you're in public or charter, like it's different things for different grades. So, for example, I've never taken a geography class. If you show me a map, I will not be able to get us anywhere. No sense of direction.
So did you take classes multiple times?
Yes. I can tell you all about U.S. history. Well, one version of U.S. history. But yes. And then this is a whole other story, but I was applying for college and they looked at my transcripts and they were like, you can't get in. You took 6 years of PE and not geometry? Like, what happened? I had been at a charter school where the teachers were like, without me knowing and realizing, making exceptions and then like forging classes that I actually didn't take. Jeez. And then like it was a mess because I did love school and I wanted to excel in class and I wanted to learn. But most of my education beyond like 14 is just my own studying. Like I went and got certifications outside of
That's actually really smart.
Settings, yeah.
So did you like teach yourself a lot?
I had to start teaching myself starting in second grade because once we moved out to LA, my teachers in elementary school were like faxing worksheets for me to do, but my mother's not a trained educator. So even at a young age, I was learning how to like complete the curriculum, submit it. And yeah, it's something that I grieve because I've had a lot of insecurity around my own intelligence because I would show up to a bunch of different settings and like you have probably studied so many things that I've never studied, and because I assumed that like the school form of education was always superior, I felt like, wow, I'm really lacking until I learned like, oh, I can fill in the gaps
on your own
on in some of these other ways.
And even like recapping with things like I recently, when I was in high school, I took ASL and I recently just started teaching myself ASL again. And I love the thing I always say all the time is like I love being outside of school, especially like elementary middle school, high school, because I feel like with those, everything is kind of just like forced on you in a way. Whereas
Yeah,
like when I was in university, a lot of the things I studied, I was able to choose what I wanted to take. Like there were options for different classes to fill different credits and things like that.
Yeah.
But even now, I have my degree on hold. But even now, like I can read what I want, I can look up what I want. So that's always been like really interesting to me, just being able to teach myself things that I never really thought I could.
Right. Totally.
Honestly.
Yeah. I just had this really beautiful image of your degree literally being on hold, waiting for you to.
My mom, if my mom's probably
Like,
gonna watch and be
still
like,
waiting.
my mom's gonna watch and be like, Spencewuah Alyson Stoner told you like your degree's still waiting. You need to go back.
No,
That's what she's gonna say.
If you feel like that's valuable, and education, in my biased opinion, is an incredible, important investment, then like full support. And I also recognize that there are many pathways forward. And there are many barriers for many people. And yeah, you kind of have to like work with the cards you're dealt, plus find whatever, path actually aligns with where you think you want to go.
When you were applying for university or college, if you don't mind me asking, what was the major you wanted to go for?
Psychology.
Really? What about psychology? Like, I don't know, like what made you want to take psychology? What about that was like, wow, I want to study and learn more about this?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think one of the beautiful aspects of growing up as an actor is it's a crash course in trying to get into the psyche of someone else, even if it's a fictional character.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and how they're interlinked. I'm trying to understand the story that drives your identity and the way that you relate to other people, because in every scene, I have to dissect why I'm choosing to say these things and behave these ways. And so it was a great kind of empathy builder and also curiosity provoker. And then over time, I think just in an effort to make sense of my own life, because I was in an industry living a very abnormal childhood, and then my household was very chaotic, I was just constantly trying to unpack things. And so I started therapy really young. And frankly, like I think that's one of the things that changed my life inside out. And my first therapist has probably saved my life because of how many concepts she helped introduce just for personal reflection, emotional regulation. Like the idea of being able to provide that kind of empowerment to someone else as a psychologist, to help someone like reclaim their sense of self or learn habits that help them manage stress and anxiety, like that seems like such an important act of service in a world that's like really stressed out.
If you don't mind me asking, you did start acting at a young age, and
Baby.
Even before we started filming, I was telling you, like, I remember growing up seeing you on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, Cheaper by the Dozen, Camp Rock. Now, when you first started acting, was that something you wanted to do?
Great question.
Because I feel like I've always seen kids that grow up as child actors, and like I even saw
Cole. Oh, I thought you were gonna say Cole's interview.
I was gonna. Do you know Good Luck Charlie, the daughter?
Yeah, Bridget.
Not Bridget. The like little girl who played Charlie. She actually was talking about it.
Is it Mia?
I think so, but she mentioned in a live with her mom, and her mom was just like, oh, she was just a well-behaved baby, and we just thought we would pitch her because we wanted to like save money for college for her. Was that kind of like how it was for you, or was it you were like, oh, I want to do this?
Yeah, so that's a really loaded question just because
you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Let's go here.
Okay.
So as a child, your reference point is like very different than an adult who can consciously understand like the implications of the decision they're making and then go, yeah, I'm up for this, or like, maybe I'm not into this.
Yeah.
And so when we ask, like, did you want to do this as a child? I mean, a child over the course of 24 hours wants to be a firefighter, wants to be a unicorn, wants to be an actor.
Astronaut.
Yeah. So, like, there's a lot of room, I think, to encourage creative development and personal expression and all of that. But Did I choose to be in an industry setting doing those things? No, I had no idea really what that meant. It was more like there were these interesting opportunities for this family in Ohio to like go to this convention, and we did conventions for dance, so we're kind of like, all right, we kind of understand what this is. And then like my sisters and I, we played sports, so we're like, this is kind of like going to a tournament or having just some recreational hobby. And over time, suddenly, I'm in LA, and now it's like, well, do you want an agent? And if you want an agent, like, will you go on these auditions? And these auditions now lead to booking roles. And now you're like talking about a career as a kid. And that I could have never fully understood what was going on.
So did you kind of like grow into it in a sense of, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, when you were growing up, was it a lot more of like how like people say like, oh, like at a certain age you gain consciousness and you're like, oh, I remember this. So like growing up, did you like ever hit a point where you were like, oh, like I'm in this, like I'm acting and like.
Yeah. I mean, I think I sort of jumped to that conclusion early on because I didn't have any other like possible roadmap. So I only knew myself to be an actor. Like I didn't, when people say like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like I didn't ever have a chance to answer that in any other way because I was already a career professional. Yeah. So I could have, I guess, said like, I don't want to do this. But when you have the like beautiful fortune of positive reinforcement, you're booking things and the world's like, yeah, this is who you are. You just kind of do the thing, right? So I think maybe around like 18, after I had already been doing it for more than a decade, I started to think like, is this what I want to do forever? And the parts of me that had been set aside, that didn't get to come forward in school or with friends or just different interests, like different curiosities about the world, started to almost like, knock at the doors of my heart to be like, hey, remember us? Like, you love neuroscience. Are you gonna do anything about that or just like play a character who loves neuroscience? So I think it wasn't until 18 that I was like, oh man, I might need to revisit this.
And how was it? I'm sorry for asking so many questions, but
no, it's literally what we're here to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What was it like making friends? Because I know, because you did mention that like you were like kind of bouncing from school to school. You were in different locations all the time. Yeah. And like I know when I was growing up, like I was really awkward and like it was hard for me to make friends. And I went to the same school pretty much like all my life almost.
Wow.
Until high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I even then it was hard or difficult for me to make friends. And
totally.
I don't know if I could imagine like acting, even like going to school where kids might like see me and be like, oh, like I know you from this. Yeah. And then having to like make friends, move, or even make friends. Now you have to travel, be on set, learn on set. How is that making like friends?
Yeah, of course. I mean, every person probably responds a little differently. For me, I think I just became really hyper-focused on my work. Like I was kind of a workaholic as a kid, and I only thought of my peers as people who were co-stars, like people who were on set, people who are doing something similar. Yeah. I had a couple neighborhood friends who I, cherish. And we have a lot of the kind of normal kid memories together, like lemonade stands. And we used to like paint these candles and try and go around and like sell them to neighbors and raise money to go to Toys R Us and like buy a bike that we could share. Like entrepreneurship, yes. But I think socially, some of the difficulties for me were it was scary to be honest with anyone because they might be listening just to share the information with other people. So there was a lot of just like, I was just very guarded. Yeah. And I didn't trust new people very easily. I still to this day like am working on that with making friends as an adult. But yeah, I just stayed to myself quite a bit. And I found ways to love that. Like, but I was super socially awkward in terms of like, if you put me in a room with a bunch of people in suits, I'd be fine. I'd be like, what's up,
but
Robert?
It's like, kids your own age, it was like, oh,
terrifying.
no. Yeah.
Terrifying.
I was actually going to say, I can't compare any of my experiences to yours because they're completely different. But I will say that when I started on social media, a lot of people that I went to high school with, or like kids I even went to like middle school with, started hitting me up out of the blue being like, oh, let's hang, or let's do this, let's do that.
Right.
And it's just kind
and
of like, oh. And
motives.
I feel like even now, like there are people that enter my life and I have to have this wall up because it's like you never know people's intentions, which is so scary.
Yeah.
Because it's like they could actually be there to like learn who you are, or they can be there to like learn about you and things. Because I always say that when I meet new people, it's like you're either here to meet Spencer or you're here to meet Spencewuah.
Right.
Who we're the same person, but it's like different, you know?
Absolutely. So what does it feel like for you to like, what is it like? What are the qualities of the friendships that feel best and like safest to you?
I feel like the qualities that feel safest to me are like my best friend. Her name is Zaya. I just like, we hit it off like right away, and it takes me a really long time to like trust people. I always like to say when it comes to like a friendship, there's like a give and a take. And like with Zaya, we were friends, we would laugh, we would talk, and it wasn't until like a few months in that we started like unpacking things in our lives that like we were being open and vulnerable about.
Yeah.
And I think the moment I realized I was like, oh my gosh, like she's going to be my best friend for life, is it wasn't even like a falling out, but like we had like kind of parted ways. Yeah, it was like I had gone into a relationship. I neglected my friends. That's on me. But while that was happening, she never told anybody anything I had ever told her. I never did the same with her. So when we came back to being like really close like we are now, it's just like knowing that I have someone where like we don't have to talk all the time. I can tell you things. You're always there for me. I'm always there for you. That's kind of like the friendship aspect that makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
But with new people, I feel like I've always been intuitive in a way. Like people will say things to me and I'm like, okay. Like even like the way you said that makes me, I don't want to sound like the type of person where it's like I feel like I'm up here, but it's like, for example, if I'm like talking to a guy from a dating app and he's like, oh my gosh, I just recognized you and you're from TikTok. I've seen your videos on my For You page before. You didn't just recognize me. That's my thing. It's like, it's certain like mannerisms and things like that where they just immediately throw me off. And I feel like that's no fault of their own. I feel like they're just like, oh, how can I make this person most comfortable act like I don't know who they are? But I would rather you be like, honest. Oh, I know who you are, but I want to get to know you as a person, opposed to like, oh, I don't know you. And then like you kind of just like sneak it in there like, oh, I've seen you before, maybe.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
It's like that. What for you is like a safety for friendship?
Well, when you shared about dating apps, so I've never been on a dating app.
I do not blame you. They can burn.
Until recently. I signed up for this like obscure one that's very like subcultural for a group of specific kinds of people. No. No offense.
No, it's okay.
No offense.
I see, like I'm none taken whatsoever.
I've heard so many interesting stories about like dating on an app of people with status, and and I understand the reasoning behind it.
But at the same time, it's like
I don't have any personal experience. I cannot comment any further. However, my experience on this other app, I realized instantly when I was making a profile that like I have to either share my real identity and let people know like
who I
personal
am.
information about myself and personality and what I'm looking for and interested in, or I have to hide and then at some point in every conversation be like, by the way, this is who I really am. And it's like a weird kind of like catfish thing, but also I'm like, who am I?
Banned for catfish.
Oh, really?
Someone reported my account for being a catfish.
And
I got my Tinder banned.
No.
And then thank God I had I think I had a deal with them at one point. I made a
And
video
like,
for them and
"By
I was
the
like,
way."
so like you're gonna give me this account back or what?
For
And they
sure.
did. But that was like the crazy thing.
Yeah. So I chose to not go with my real identity, chose to be anonymous. But then immediately I was like, well, what kind of people are the people who swipe on someone whose identity they don't know?
Right.
So I'm already filtering, a certain demographic. But then I had this really wonderful conversation with someone. And at some point, it was like, well, should we meet up in person? And I'm thinking like, okay, do I do the surprise when
LOL, it's me. Hey.
yeah, like, hey, my name is actually not this. So I thought like, well, I need to give them some level of honesty.
Yeah.
Because they deserve a chance to say, actually, like, you, Alyson, are not my type, or not feel like they're being duped. So I finally said, like, I do need to share this with you, and everything changed in the conversation.
Really?
It went to like, oh my gosh, no way. Like, I grew up watching you. This is amazing. I have to tell all these people.
No.
Like, everything changed. And I felt so crushed and was like, do I just accept that? Everyone has their reaction, like let them go through it and then still meet up anyway, or just like call it off. I decided for that one to actually meet in person, and it was like so uncomfortable. So I don't know what to do about dating apps when you have some kind of public platform. It's dicey.
See, like what I do is like I'm very open on like platforms like that.
Do people ever like screenshot things though and post and be like,
oh yeah, I once actually, and I see this is like where I have Twitter. I'm not gonna like go into it, but like I have been like canceled on Twitter really bad. Like people have made like fake tweets. This was like a few years ago, but someone made several fake tweets of me saying like racial slurs and uploaded them, and then I got canceled, and then like all this other stuff happened, and then one guy's tweet went viral because he was like, get off this app, and I was like on a dating app and he screenshotted it and put it on Twitter. But like my whole thing is I have always been very big on just being open about it. Like I'm on several dating apps. I'm on 2, but like I'm on 2 dating apps, and even like in my bio, like I'm just myself.
Yeah.
And then when it says like for work, I put like influencer. And then when I'm talking to people, that's kind of like how I gauge like whether they want to know who
Motives.
I am or like whether it's something different.
Yeah.
And as far as that goes, it's difficult.
Yeah.
100%, because when you're very open about it, I feel like there are people who are manipulative, or they go in with the intent of being like, I'm going to make sure that you're super comfortable with me, so I'm going to do everything I can to make you comfortable in that kind of way, which is why it takes me a long time to like even bother like meeting them in person.
Oh yeah, I and my former partners know I call myself a turtle or a snail. I'm like, I'm so sorry, but like, if you're planning on wanting to hang out for a long time anyway, then like, what's the rush?
Yeah,
Let's
like,
just open up very slowly, shall we?
There was like a guy that I just started talking to. Well, not just, like a week or two, I don't know. And I have him on Snap, and he literally was just like, let's hang out. And I was like, LOL, hell no. I was like, that is not happening. Like, you're crazy. No.
Yeah. You're like, sure. What are you doing October 3rd, 2024?
2025, make it. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can't just like jump right into things, because I know for a fact that, again, like I just need to see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to like kind of wait. I mean, sometimes it sucks like having to like do the whole waiting game and like wait it out, but I'd rather wait it out from afar than like jump in, get close, and then get hurt. Because that's what happened. That's happened to me.
I fully support this. Do you know your attachment style?
Oh my gosh, wait, what are they? What kinds are there?
Oh, I mean, I think some people categorize it mainly with 4 or 5. I mostly know about where I started, which was more of an avoidant attachment style. But there's like anxious avoidant, disorganized, secure. Like, I'm amazed if anyone out there has a secure attachment. And let's see, what's the other one? Fearful avoidant. I'm sure there are more. But
what do all of those like entail essentially?
yeah, it just speaks to different ways that you build connection with people and what your tendencies are when, like, let's say conflict arises. If someone has an avoidant attachment style, they may, well, I'll speak for myself. I might have an aversion to conflict, or I might retreat and try to go solve it on my own, as opposed to leaning in and saying, like, let's work through this together. Whereas if you have like an anxious attachment style and you really value that kind of reassurance, then you might, in a moment of conflict, want to be able to be like, hey, can we lean in and talk through this? That affirmation is really important.
Is it possible to have more than one?
I'm sure, like, if you speak with a professional who knows what they're talking about, they would be able to be like, oh yeah, this like falls into this category.
Like when I'm with like friends, I'm definitely like anxious attachment style, where it's like I need to resolve the issue with them. Like I want to get there, get it over with, because like I don't want to lose them.
Right.
But when it comes to people that I'm interested in or like pursuing in that kind of way, where it's like, oh, I want a relationship with this person, I am so avoidant. It's
interesting.
Like, nope, I cannot.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even in relationships I've had, not just like dating wise, but like even just like talking to guys or dating a guy, it's always kind of been in my head a lot of the times. I feel like I was always not like easily manipulated, but it was almost like a lot of the times I approached them with problems like I did with my friends, because I was like, oh, like I just tell my friends what's wrong, so I'll just do that with you. Whenever I would do that with anyone I'd been talking to, dating, in a relationship with, it was always like, why are you doing this? Or like, you're making a big deal out of nothing. And it was very like flip the switch.
Okay.
So I always like retreat, because I'm like, am I making this up in my head? And that's why I have to go to my friends and I'm like, you see this too, right?
Yeah, right.
Because I need the confirmation of like, oh no, you're not the only one seeing this. We all see it as well. And then it's like, oh, I can confront. But until that moment comes, I have to like, nope, bye.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Have you ever heard of internal family systems? I'm just going to talk about therapeutic modalities.
No, I would love to hear about it. That sounds really interesting, actually.
So it's referring to the variety of parts within ourselves that at certain ages developed like sets of traits and coping mechanisms and attitudes about the world. And so over the course of your life, you have a variety of parts, like sub-personalities.
Yeah.
And typically when we're talking about things like, you know, my inner critic or like the inner cheerleader or the inner child, like that's sort of almost a gateway into what internal family systems is. But IFS gets way more complex in helping you understand that in certain situations with certain kinds of people, you tend to have like a certain set of responses. And so when you're speaking, I'm wondering if like, oh, when you're in dating mode, like I wonder what parts of you are more forward. And then when you're with friends, like what parts or sub-personalities are forward then. And what I love about IFS is that you acknowledge that like we are very multidimensional. So instead of trying to say like I'm just this person or I'm just that kind of person, it's really like, no, sometimes
so many
I'm the
parts of
hero,
me.
sometimes I'm the villain, sometimes I'm anxious, sometimes I'm really secure and trusting. Like it's just kind of working your way back in your story and learning like, when did I develop these strategies for survival or like getting your needs met or whatever.
That's interesting. I feel I've never really dived into that, but I would say I feel like when I'm making a new friend, I feel more comfortable knowing in my head like, oh, you're a friend. So like when it's like me with friends and even people I've gotten really close to, it's like all on the table. But I feel like my issue is when it comes to dating, I need to date someone where they're my friend first and then it goes into a relationship, because if in my head I'm like, oh, like I want to date you, this, that, and the third, immediately it's like wall. You can't see me this way. Like I don't want you to see me in this kind of way or that kind of way. And I feel like that's why I struggle a lot, because it's like, no, like if if you actually want to date, they need to see those parts of you. Give it time.
Sure.
But like I'm always very like, I don't want you to see me in a way where it's like this and the third.
Like the messages too around dating, I always felt so awkward. Like I would get freaked out anytime anyone would call it a date. You know, I was like, we can hang out.
That's what I say. Yes. Oh my gosh, you get me.
But the second you say it's a date,
I'm out.
I'm like actually panicking, thinking like I should probably get a haircut and maybe paint my nails, or what are the rules here, and like should I show up on time, or maybe I should be late, because I don't want to be desperate, but I actually want them to know that I care about. Yeah, I'm like, why? But if you were to be like, let's just hang out, and be like, great, what a beautiful chance to get to know each other, to see if we want to pursue something.
Yeah, no, my brain is the exact same way. It's like the minute it's like what we're doing is labeled as a date, I'm like, oh, so this is like
pressure.
Yeah, like now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, if this is a date, that means like we're doing things that
also the whole like, when are we supposed to be physical, like today, tomorrow, next week?
Right.
I'm so like, I can't think about that. And like, I would be so I'm already awkward, but like if someone reached across the table during a first date and
to
was
hold
like,
your hand.
yeah, I would be like you know?
So, oh my gosh, wait, are you reaching for something over here? Oh, you want my napkin? Yeah, sure.
There are so many ways to dodge physical contact, and I could probably teach you at least 30 of them.
I see like this is why whenever I've like ever gone on like a first date, usually my friends come over. They have to hype me up.
Wow, nice.
And then when we go out, usually we go to like a bar.
Okay.
And I'll like have a shot because I want to be aware.
Pre-date. No, on the date.
Like usually sometimes they'll be like, if it's like a date, they'll be like, oh, let's get a drink. And I'm like, okay, perfect. And it's like casual, and then like the drink, and then I'm like, okay, I'm fuzzy, not drunk. I can have a conversation, but I'm calmer.
Yes, true.
And it's like let's see where this goes. But at the same time, even when I am that kind of way, I do still feel like I can like point things out.
Right. See, I don't drink, and there are moments where I'm like, I've heard that would be helpful for a time like this.
See, like, I personally, have you ever seen the movie?
Probably not. I don't have a TV or watch movies.
That's okay.
But try me.
A Good Person?
Never heard of it.
It's with Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman.
Nope.
It's a really good movie. I watched it last night, and it's about...
It's new?
Mm-hmm. It's basically Florence. She plays... a soon-to-be wife, and she's driving her sister-in-law and her sister-in-law's husband into the city. They're going to go look for wedding dresses, and then they're going to a play, and they end up in a car crash. And she's the only one that survives. Florence is the only one that lives. And then she gets addicted to like opioids. And then when she goes to an AA meeting, she runs into her would-have-been husband's father.
Oof.
And he basically is like, no, come in here. Like, you have to start somewhere. And like the whole movie, I'm just like, wow. And I was just like, I was watching certain parts of the movie. And like, even like when she first started taking the opioids, or like when the dad was describing, or Morgan Freeman, when he was describing like drinking and like times he would do it, I was like, wait, like, I don't know if should I be like resonating with like certain things he's saying? Like he'll be like, oh, I had like a really bad day, so like I got whatever. And I'm like, yes, people do that. But I just, after watching the movie, I'm kind of been like hyper aware about like the things I do. And
yeah,
like,
totally.
If I want a glass of wine, just like sit back, relax. Like it's going to be one glass. Or if I'm like, oh, I've had a really bad day, and I rely on the wine to calm me down type of.
Yeah, see, because I didn't grow up even like drinking caffeine. Like I don't drink coffee. I don't drink alcohol. I've never smoked a cigarette. Like it's just something that hasn't been something that I've chosen to try.
I'm so happy that like this.
But like I'll say, in the times that the thought has crossed my mind, it's only ever been on occasions where I feel so overwhelmed and stressed that I feel like I need something to help with it. And because I can hear that thought, for me, it's my signal of like, oh, it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed, and like makes sense that you would crave something that would help
Fix
instantly.
it. Yeah.
But like, let's explore the options that, you know, are actually going to be helpful long term and not cause other issues. Or like, or if you want to have a drink, like maybe first find some sense of calm and stability in your mind, and then ask yourself again, like, do you still
actually want this?
Want it just to enjoy? Yeah. So, but I should say, you know, context for my family is addiction and like alcohol and different medications and all kinds of things were abused in my family of origin. So it became very clear growing up, like, that those things weren't adding to someone's life and they weren't in like a manageable amount.
Yeah, it takes away.
Yeah. So like now I think it's interesting. Like I'll hear that thought and that's when I know like, yeah, no, it's not the, and I'm not against like my former partner loves winemaking, and I wanted so badly to like be able to appreciate the art of it, and be supportive. And so there was like a couple of times that I had a glass of wine with them, and it was delicious, and it was like a beautiful experience. And it's just like not my thing. It's just not my thing.
See, when I first moved to LA, because when I started in college, COVID immediately hit. So my freshman year of college, my first semester was all in school. Second semester, all of a sudden I was home. And then I did online school.
That's so tough.
And then I moved here. And after I moved here, it kind of felt like living on my own, living away from home, being like feeling like, oh, I have this like new sense of like self and freedom. I drank a lot. And never, I don't want to say that I had like an addiction, but it definitely was like a big problem in my life. And I have a very addictive personality. I've even like when I had my like surgery, I had like a really big stomach surgery and I had my wisdom teeth removed. I had a really bad problem with Oxy.
Yeah.
And like, thank God when I had my wisdom teeth removed, my mom, like, she doesn't deal with that kind of stuff. And she's like, no, like, you're fine and you don't need this anymore. So when I had my stomach surgery, she already knew, like, you need to take this because you're in pain. But once I even think you're asking for too much, or like, suddenly it's like, oh, like, are there any extras?
Right.
Down the toilet they go. But I was here and I was like drinking almost every day. It was really bad. And then I kind of had like this really bad breaking point, stopped drinking. And now it's come to like a point where it's like I'll drink on the weekends with my friends if we go out, but I can't like overdo it like I was.
Totally, yeah.
It's just, it's too much.
I mean, it's really fascinating how it alters our brain. And creates new pathways where that dependence can become like a real thing. And so I'm going to advocate for a nonfiction book. If you recommended books for me, I'm recommending them for you.
Thank you.
Definitely check out The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate.
I'm going to write that down.
Who's a like trauma-informed therapist. And he speaks a lot to all of the ways that our just day-to-day culture and society have these norms that are actually quite unhealthy and toxic, but we've come to just
accept them as like
them.
Everyday occurrences.
But in so doing, like, we're creating some of the suffering that we're experiencing, but then the way we frame it from the outside in is we're shaming the people who are going through it, as opposed to recognizing like, no, like that substance has a powerful effect on your mind and body. And so instead of thinking just like it's the individual's problem and it's, you know, their fault and it's because they don't have willpower and it's, you know, it's like, no, if you understand chemically what's going on, like there are very real reasons that someone might become addicted. even if you never thought they would be the one to do it.
Yeah.
Even if you never thought you would be the one to do it. So I didn't have anything with alcohol or drugs, but food for me was my addiction. That was my coping that like really got out of hand. And for me, like it's been one of the biggest life teachers, because I know through recovery and with my therapist, like anytime the thoughts or urges come up, I don't have to fear them, because I know like, oh, this is my signal. Like something in my life feels like it's too much to handle. And now there's like a shame-free way of approaching it. And, you know, but if I didn't have that perspective, I feel like I might have just spiraled and thought so poorly of myself. Like it was just something that like I wasn't strong enough to fix. So I say that because growing up, for a variety of reasons, many people try all kinds of things. And if you don't really know what's going on in your mind and body when it's happening, like you might find yourself in behaviors that you never thought you would be doing. And you're like, now I have to like think intentionally about like not doing this thing until I build new habits. So like I respect you and applaud you and support you in being like, okay, that, you know, I did that for a season, didn't really have the outcomes that are the most conducive for health and well-being and probably healthy relationships and all of that. And like now moving forward, you actually are rewiring.
Yeah.
And then thankfully over time, like our bodies can be quite malleable in terms of adapting to new ways of being. But for some people, if you've been doing a certain thing for a long time, like it takes lots of intention and support.
Oh, can I just do one little detour?
Yeah.
I had a question. I have to do
have
a
an
quick little
answer.
detour. I came out of the closet when I was like in middle school. And I didn't have like the pressure of thinking other people were watching me other than like my mom. What was that like for you? Being able to like come out, knowing that like, oh, people have eyes on me, if that makes sense.
No, totally. It was really nerve-wracking. And the reason I ended up doing it was because my girlfriend at the time, we reached a point in our relationship where it felt like it was a disservice to her for her to be hidden, right?
Yeah.
Like that didn't feel good for her. It didn't feel fair. And even though there were other like pressures and considerations for me to be public, I felt like, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah.
But I spoke to my managers about it, who happened to be Christians, and full transparency, Kevin Jonas, the dad, was my music manager at the time. And so he's a former pastor. And so I was like, okay, I know that there's a potential risk here. And he was very loving and supportive and helpful in me understanding that like there are risks if I do this. It's totally my choice.
Yeah.
But it could affect not only people's perceptions, but also like hireability for jobs. I did end up getting fired from a children's show because they felt that I was unsafe now that they knew I was queer to be around kids. So there was like definitely discrimination there, but the like beauty far outweighs the hate comments and death threats. But it was intimidating.
But now you're
also liberating.
But now you're gonna be in a new horror movie, right? It's a queer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You're like, wait, sorry.
No,
what?
I totally forgot I did that. But how that happened was Matthew, Scott Montgomery, and Allison shot me a text, and they're like, "We're doing this film. Can you be here in like an hour just to do this quick little thing?" So I haven't actually seen it, and I don't know the full script.
It's okay.
I only know the little thing I was in, but I'm sure it's great. And it's like lots of queer people in the cast.
I heard, and I'm all really excited.
Yeah, and and I play a queer character on a Nickelodeon show, which was cool to see like the evolution of Disney and Nickelodeon integrating LGBTQ plus characters. And yeah, I mean, I'm like here and queer and ready to.
You ready to play a game?
That's right, segue.
Yeah, I ate that up, huh?
You did.
We're gonna play a game called Guess a Song Lyric, but it's gonna be rapid fire.
I should let you know that I don't know many Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran songs, so I'm hoping
That's okay.
you'll have some Busta Rhymes in there.
I listen to a lot of music, so
Okay.
I hope I get this. Hair toss, check my nails, baby, how you feeling?
Lizzo.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got this one. I'd make a deal with God and I'd get him to swap our places.
Running Up That Hill, that was from Stranger Things.
Oh, how does it
If I
sound?
only could, I make a deal with God.
That's
and
what they were saying this whole
I
time?
swap our places. At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, why is this so embarrassing that I can't think of? I can sing it, but is it? I know it's called At Last, right? But I'm so embarrassed. Does it
I don't
start
even
with
know
an
the
E?
It's Etta James.
Etta James. Okay, I was like about to say Etta or Ella, and that's bad. Oh, I like this one. Not really sure how to feel about it. Something in the way you move.
Oh my gosh, I know this. Wait, it's Rihanna's. Not really sure how to feel about it. Something in the way you move. I can get it.
Yep.
Stay.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. Took me a second. You're the missing piece I need. The song inside of me.
I know this. Is this something I was in?
Yeah.
Shit. Excuse me.
No, it's
You're the wait. Sorry.
Like-
I know this. Freaking A.
You're the missing piece I need.
Oh,
the
God,
song
yeah.
inside of me.
I need to find you. Still looking to this day. Joe sings that, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna get the name. Gotta find you. Yeah, da 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 da. Oh my God, please help me. No, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. You're the voice I hear inside me. The reason why I'm saying I need to find you. Is it I gotta find you?
Yeah.
Okay, and the Jonases and Demi sing it together.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, some memories you just block out. I've been trying to give it to you all night. What's it gonna take to get you all alone?
Oh, I've been trying to give it. Oh, that's Kim Petras featuring Nicki Minaj. Wait, I've been trying to give it to you all night. What's it gonna take you all alone? Oh my gosh,
I can't help you at all.
Killed. People are gonna come for me.
That's how I felt
crazy.
about whatever thing I just did.
Alone. OMG, I got it. That's cray. They will eat me up online. They will literally be like, how the hell did you not know that?
Yeah, well, how did I not know Etta James and Camp Rock? Spencer?
All right, guys, this is our last one.
Okay.
Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side.
Yeah, we're climbing with Miley.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an epic one to finish on.
That was really good.
Because you know what? I was singing that yesterday just for fun.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
I like her new music too, River.
I don't know that, but now I know what I'm doing right after this.
River is so good.
Like, comment, subscribe, and stream River.
Like, actually, that's kind of how we're closing out. But would you like to tell anyone any upcoming projects you've been working on, where people can find you online, anywhere?
Sure. Well, apparently I'm in a horror film, but I don't know when it's coming out.
I don't
And
either.
I guess I'm still on. Wow, I'm realizing that I don't talk about this at all anymore, but I'm on like 3 animated shows. Loud House on Nickelodeon, Hamster and Gretel on Disney, and then Phineas and Ferb is coming back.
What?
Surprise!
Wait, are we allowed to know about it?
You are. Because you want to know what happened?
What?
They literally announced it without telling any of us,
Oh, so they were like, oh, guess who's coming back?
including the creator. I was like, I sent the creator a message and was like, it's totally okay if you're recasting. I'm just checking in. Like,
Yeah.
what's the deal? So we'll be recording that again. Other projects, mostly my company. So I'm helping people take care of their mental health with tools. If you're struggling with anxiety, if you are feeling like you want some support, check out Movement Genius. Actually, we could give everyone like a month free if you want to. We could give like a special code.
Okay, yeah. The code is I'm literally screaming.
Yeah, maybe wait, could I suggest a shorter?
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
like
screaming.
screaming?
Yeah, screaming. Screaming's the code.
Okay.
Not I'm literally. That's a lot of typing. Screaming. Screaming's the code, guys. We just made it up. Don't judge me. Like it's, like I had a few seconds and I chose what was on the top of my head.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you know where to find me. Spencewuah on everything except Snapchat because, again, some bitch stole my username and I want it back. But my Snapchat username is Spencewuah with an M in the middle. You guys, if you don't know where to find me, you can find this audio or this podcast, on all audio streaming platforms. New episodes drop every Thursday, but if you want to see this happening live and in action, head to the Past Your Bedtime YouTube channel and subscribe, like, comment, do whatever you got to do.
Wow.
Show some love. I love you guys. Love me back, because if you don't show love, that means you hate me. And I can't have that. I can't have that in my life right now. I need you guys to love me. So I love you guys so much. Be safe, be healthy. And until next time, mwah, bye everyone.
See ya.